And we are back. It's a week later, and I guess part 2 of our fermentation special. And you may be looking at 2 quite full-on faces because our intrepid fermentation experiment didn't quite go to plan. You may notice that, well, you might not notice, but I can tell you there is no box in front of us. There is no lovely homemade cacao. Andrew, do you want to tell our viewers and our listeners what happened?
Well, Ed, let's just say that fermentation of chocolate is slightly more difficult than you might imagine.
It's not.
And do you remember that category in the left-hand corner of the slide of all the sort of little bugs and mushrooms?
I do, yeah.
It said mold.
Oh, was that? Yeah,
There was a mold section.
And you don't want that, right?
You don't want that. And the mold, it exploded, unfortunately.
Yes. So we left the chocolate in what we thought was a place in at Melch HQ where the proper chocolate's made. We thought we'd left it somewhere there was sort of quite warm, a sort of cupboard area, but unfortunately it clearly wasn't the right temperature because
it must be. I mean, it's amateur night, but we're gonna say that it was the cold that affected it.
It has been colder, and it had to be sort of humanely destroyed, I think, because of problems of smell and overall grossness.
Yes, and mold is not what we were looking for.
No, exactly. So, I guess hopefully we're gonna be able to speak to someone about exactly why it went wrong, and maybe even have a second attempt at fermenting our own cacao. But today I think we're going to talk some more about the art of fermentation, the sort of what that process is, and have a look at sort of other sort of foods and drinks that are fermented and what sort of we can learn from those about cacao and about chocolate.
Yeah, and we're going to go through sort of fermentation, flavour and taste and try and unpick it and understand it, from a very elemental level. And I think it's worth kind of recalling, Ed, that, I accused you of being a sort of a panda.
Oh, not this again.
You're trapped in some panda paradox where you're essentially eating the wrong food for your biology. So you're in an evolutionary mistake. And you've got to a point where you're actually biologically
maybe the meanest thing
a dead end
I've ever heard anyone say to anyone, calling them an evolutionary mistake who's reached a dead end.
Of course, I'm talking metaphorically. Of course,
yeah. In reality, you're a lovely guy, but metaphorically, you are an evolutionary mistake, and you need to be basically corrected at a sort of
yes. In the same way that a panda is adorable, but it's just eating the wrong foods.
Yeah,
and we've got this, but it's not just, I'm sorry, Ed, it's not just that you're trapped in this panda paradox.
Yeah.
There's another factor going on, which I need to understand better, and we're going to explore it, is why you just obsessively consume very odd food, and you seem to be totally obsessed with yeast poo. And I need to understand this.
I don't know.
In a more
I don't know if I am obsessed with yeast. What's yeast poo?
Yeast poo.
And by that, do you mean sort of, I don't know, bread?
Well, bread would come under the definition.
You're going to stop eating bread again. I'm not going to stop eating bread. We've spoken about this.
No, I mean, I think we need to understand, have you been abducted by aliens? Have they entered your stomach and basically are controlling your brain and forcing you to create this yeast domination paradox? So we've got 2 paradoxes. We've got yeast domination and panda paradox.
Yeah.
And we need to unpick.
We need to solve them both, yeah.
We've got to solve them both, because I think in one of our earlier episodes, we gave you the magic potion of fresh cacao.
True, we did.
And that's going to open up your eyes.
And it was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. And we want to understand why we've got these 2 obsessions and what is that causing? What's that changing in us? First, I think we should address the yeast paradox, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun. So the yeast paradox is you are obsessively hoovering up yeast poo. You're like some vacuum cleaner for yeast excretions.
For our listeners, Andrew has surreptitiously just grabbed out of nowhere a block of what I think looks like Roquefort cheese. Definitely blue cheese.
There's lots of kind of biological activity on that.
A knife as well. Yeah, there are lots of biological activity.
And we're gonna see if you really love this stuff.
I mean, spoiler alert, I do. But
Okay.
cheese hasn't got yeast in it, does it?
Well, I mean, what's that blue stuff?
Mould.
That's called sort of, wet Welsh murder or something.
Yeah, mould. But a good mould. Healthy mould.
Well, it's kind of bacterial fungi.
Can I just say, do you want me to try this cheese?
I think we should.
Before I do, can I say to both Andrew and the crew, no complaints about any smell of cheese. This is not. I did not bring this, although I will eat it and enjoy it. So yeah, if you can sort of see there, hopefully our editing team will be able to zoom in on that.
Yes, basically.
Yeah, that's absolutely delicious. Very, very mouldy cheese.
Yeah, and why do you? Because I think you're one of the only animal groups in the world that likes rotted food. As we discovered last time, fermentation is just a fancy name for rotting. So why do you like it so much?
This is great. I've also got for our listeners, I've been handed an Orbit Ivo Pale Ale beer, which is actually this is not SponCon, but it's a very, very, very nice beer brand. Highly recommend it.
And again, that is the excretion of yeast. The bubbles come from the carbon dioxide. Sure. And the alcohol comes from them synthesizing the sugars.
Yeah, I guess going back to that cheese, obviously, as you would have seen, that's covered in what looks a lot like mould. It looks like the same sort of mould that when you get a loaf of bread, or the mould that we saw on the, you heard about because it was destroyed, as I said, on the cacao pods.
Yes.
Why do we think that cheese is delicious and sought after, but our cacao pods had to be basically burnt?
Yes, and I think let's try the bread because that's the last sort of.
How am I eating?
Well,
this?
you just like sugary, grassy, yeast half consumed foods.
Nice. Very nice bread.
And
this is great.
I think what we're going to discover is that there is a battle for sugar in the world. Fine. We're all fighting for sugar. And the yeast get there first. Okay? So they get to the beer, the bread, and they start to half consume it. And of course, they turn it into alcohol. And they also turn it into, or bubbles, carbon dioxide, which is the bubbles in the sourdough. And then they turn it into sort of weak acids. And these weak acids kind of add a tang and a flavor.
Sure.
And then the final sequence, and we're going to go through this on chocolate, is the sort of esters and ketones. That is the final sequence. So with chocolate, we know that the first, and what should have happened on our sort of famous pod, is that the yeast should have got there first.
Yes.
And they should have, the honey fungus, it should have munched away. And then we should have got the lactic acid bacteria. And then finally, we get the third. And each one adds kind of nutty, fruity flavors. And unfortunately, we got a completely different
horrible
category.
Mold. What seems like a mystery to me is we talked about how fermentation and rotting are sort of two sides of the same coin in a way. But again, what I'm trying to work out is why at certain temperatures, basically those bacteria and those funguses that we really don't want, that make us sick, that smell bad and you have to throw away, why do those sort of stay away? Or is it a case that sort of different things are just at different temperatures and that's just the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, at least as I understand it, and it's a great question, and we need an expert to really answer it, but I think what we discovered is that yeast likes this hot, sugary environment. And when we reduced the temperature, they kind of died out and we got instead the mold bacteria.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is keep the temperature up. And then we should get that wonderful sequence of yeast coming in first. And then we have the lactic acid. And then in the final phase, I'm going to tell you now what it is. It's the acetic acid bacteria. So each one adds a really interesting layer of flavor.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the sequence right, which we didn't, you're not going to get the flavor in chocolate.
But what I'm finding interesting as well is it's not, the case isn't, I think this is what I would have thought before I'd sort of done the research. It isn't the case that for chocolate, there are identical bacteria and funguses every single time. In fact, there is, and we saw that map last week, we had all of them written down. There is a variety of ones that can work, and that different bacteria and different funguses
absolutely
bring out different notes. But then there seems to be this, like, that is just a tiny, tiny section of basically, there's also so many bacteria and funguses that you really, really don't want. And what I think seems really difficult, and what we failed in, is how do you make sure, when we're talking about this quest for the perfect chocolate, how do you make sure that you have the, I don't know, Heston Blumenthal and Marco Pierre White bacteria as opposed to the McDonald's and KFC rubbish bacteria?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think there's a probably genetic answer that we should try and discover. And that is, if you are in the Amazon, you're going to get the right combination of those three: yeast, lactic, and acetic. And you're going to get them in the right sequence. If you're in Africa, you're going to get a different combination, and maybe it's not so diverse because it's not its indigenous area that it's grown from, and that causes problems with the flavor. So, it'd be a little bit like the French going, terroir, terroir, it's all about the terroir. Well, in the case of chocolate, it is the terroir, but it's also the type of bacteria in the Amazon, as opposed to a plantation in Africa.
But I find it hard to believe that sort of the bacteria in Ivory Coast is somehow inferior. I mean, why?
Yes, because I think what we're looking at is less diversity in the actual microbes. I think we've got less diversity. Imagine you're in a pristine jungle. You're going to have an incredible range.
I mean, Africa's got jungles.
No, but it will be in a plantation that's been deforested. And therefore we're in a monoplantation.
I see. So we're talking about not Africa versus Central America, but actually the types of farms that you find in those areas.
Correct.
Okay,
and then the type of bean that's been propagated may be the Forastero, which doesn't have the same diversity as a Criollo that we would have discovered, and therefore the bacterial or the fungi is going to be different. As you know, I like taking you right back, so we're going to go right back. This time, 500 million years.
Okay, that might be the furthest back we've gone.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, you're now a slug. On land, but you're a slug. And I'm going to ask you, what is
land 500 million years ago?
Yeah, I think there's land 500 million years ago.
I thought there was just sea.
Well, you could be a sea slug. It doesn't really matter.
Fine. Sea slug.
What is your first sensation? What is your first interaction with the exterior world, the world outside?
So suddenly I wake up and I'm a sea slug.
You're a slug.
Oh, it's such a hard... Honestly, this is an impossible question.
What, can you imagine being a slug?
Well, I can, but I sort of imagine as a slug not really imagining anything.
Well, this is a very imaginative slug.
Okay, fine. I think I'd feel slimy. I don't know, what do you want to say? Because you know where you're going here. All I've been told is, Ed, you're a slug. Okay. 500 million years
Well, that's
ago.
a huge improvement on a chimp, but in any case.
Is it?
I don't know. So, look, the main point is, how are you sensing, what is the first sense you have?
Touch. Taste.
Taste. I think, we're going to get some biologists telling us it's touch. It could be taste, is your first sensory perception of the outside world, and we reckon it developed about 500 million years ago. Now, what taste sensations, what can you taste? And what is taste?
Well, I mean, taste is basically the same as smell, right? I mean, those are the same.
No.
Sort of.
No, you're a slug. You can't smell. You've just got one sensation, which is taste.
But is that like all, have I just got my mouth, or like am I able to taste through my back and things like that?
No, just your mouth.
Okay, so I guess I don't know, if I'm in the sea, probably salty, I guess.
Yeah, that is one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can name these. I can name these.
Yeah, okay. What are the 5?
Sweet.
Salty. Yeah.
Sour,
correct.
Spicy.
No.
Umami.
Umami. Well done. That's absolutely one.
And the 5th one is obviously bitter.
Right. Okay, you're this slug, you're 500 million years ago, you write about the salt. Why are you sensitive? Why did you choose salt?
Well, I think partly I was in the sea, and partly slugs either...
No, you're a land slug.
Either slugs hate salt and it kills them, or they love it so much they eat all of it and it kills them.
They can't produce salt, so they need to find it in the environment. So salt is a really important thing for you to go and find. And your taste bud, so you know, is like a little onion on your tongue. Right?
Is this my taste bud, or is this am I still a slug?
No, well, it's yours and the slug.
Fine.
It hasn't really changed probably in 500 million years ago. Imagine a little onion with
Shallot?
And yeah, a shallot, yeah. And so in the case of salt will mix with the saliva and fall down this hole and land on the onion. And the onion will go, brain, that's salt, that's good, have some of that, right? Okay.
I don't understand. In this analogy, I don't know what purpose the onion is doing. Why is it like an onion?
Because the onion has got a sense. I mean, we're trying to keep you alive, okay? And you're trying to find another slug and procreate. That's the kind of main event.
Pretty much.
And so obviously, okay, let's go with the first one. What is the one that's going to really excite you?
Sweet.
Yes, it's sweet. You absolutely love sugar, even 500 million years ago. And it kind of sends off little fireworks in your brain, and the little onion gets overexcited.
Yeah.
And the onion has got two elements, I believe. One is the sensors that tells it that, you know, the sugar is in your saliva. And the other one connects to your brain and starts transmitting to your brain, hey guys, that's sugar, let's consume it.
Nice.
Okay, so that's a chemical reaction.
Sure.
Okay, it's basically electricity.
Fine, okay.
Okay, do you think we can play with that?
Yeah, well, I think definitely, 100%. Like,
can I switch your taste round electrically?
Are you asking my permission? Or are you saying,
no, I'm not really asking
you
permission. No, do you have generally the ability to switch the electrical signals around?
I'm going to say no.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay.
Because we're going to do that live on air.
Great, I can't wait.
So we're going to switch your electrical signals.
Am I being blindfolded again?
No, you don't need to be blindfolded.
That is maybe the first time we've done one of these and I'm not blindfolded.
We're going to see if we can confuse that slug 500 million years ago.
Fine.
And we're going to turn sour into sweet and sweet into sour.
Okay.
And we're going to do that electrically.
Is it like hypnosis where I like have to believe it's going to happen, or can I be a little bit of a bit unsure?
No. I mean, I'm not going to hypnotize you.
So
it's actually going to happen.
I can be a cynic and this will still work.
You can be as cynical as you like.
Okay, I'm going to be a cynical. I'll be a cynical sea slug.
Okay, yeah, be a cynical sea slug. Do they exist?
Can I hold that up to the microphone? Jay, I've never seen a more like Red Riding Hood looking poison berry. Honestly,
this is like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah,
exactly. This is a dangerous moment.
Deadly.
So you've got to chew that for 30 seconds. I'm going to give you an extra dose because you're a cynical slug.
It looks. I've chewed for 30 seconds. It looks like a sort of pistachio that's been painted with red lipstick.
I do hope this is reversible.
What is this, by the way?
Well, just eat it first.
I did chew it.
Yeah, chew it. And we're going to have to get something. No, chew it. Yeah, round the mouth. Yeah. So don't swallow it.
It's not nice.
No, just...
It doesn't taste of anything.
Do slugs have the right to complain?
It tastes a bit like goji berries.
Right.
But not as much.
Yeah. Okay, we've got to wait roughly 30 seconds for the impact. And what we need is...
It's sweet, I think that.
You think it's sweet?
Is that why? If I got that wrong, is it actually secretly sour? I don't know what the game is.
We're now playing with your brain. Because it basically taste is, of course, electrical signals. And while we're waiting for it to affect, what is the bitter? Why do you have a sensory... So sweet is the one that sends fireworks in your brain, and we know that. But what's the bitter one?
Well, I'm going to guess that's sort of like, don't eat this.
Yeah,
like,
don't eat that, exactly.
It's an odd one, though, because, like, as humans, we now, like, love bitter stuff. Like, we don't...
Very mild.
Yeah, like, but we do kind of seek it out sometimes, and like sour and stuff like that.
And the reason, bitter is the most complex because you have to be aware of a lot of poisons in the environment. But actually, it has some super health benefits in terms of antioxidants. So bitter is a really powerful one to identify
They've sort
and
of
not
disappeared
eliminate.
in my mouth. I didn't swallow them.
So we're now going to try something very sour. And just before we do that, what is sour? Why are you sensitive to sour?
I don't know, because sour, again, is why we do like it sometimes, but like in general, we avoid sour.
Gentle. And why do you think sour is an important flavour of the 5? You know, it's one of the 5.
Yeah, I guess.
And then I'm going to ask you about umami. Sour is telling you that fruit is not ripe. You've got to wait. Monkey brain, wait. You wait, and then you're going to be fine. You know.
I like it.
Yeah, you got it. Hold on.
It's true. It's true.
Just let it mature a bit. Then umami.
Why is sort of okay? So, for example, an apple. Why is sort of an apple that's not what we would call ripe? Is that because it's not got as much nutrients?
Yes,
at that point?
that's probably exactly right.
Our brain sort of says, okay, that's very interesting.
This is not quite developed. And umami. Now, umami is the latest one that was developed by a Japanese, and it means sort of pleasant, mild, savoury.
Oh, it's not. It makes sound like it was developed in sort of a lab. It exists.
It exists, but he discovered it in 1913 or something. It's a recent.
Yeah.
addition.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And basically, umami identifies fermented.
Yeah.
And it's the fermentation one that
It's the
we
best.
think
It's the best one.
It's the best one, right? So let's see. This is some lemon. This is very sour.
Okay.
So let's see what.
I promise I'm not going to lie here. Yeah, it tastes really sweet. Doesn't it?
It's really sweet.
But is that actually just lemon?
That's lemon. That you wouldn't normally be able to eat that. You know, that is super sour, and you're drinking it like it's no tomorrow. Let's try.
It's really weird. Like right at the start, you can taste the sour, and then it sort of becomes really sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you're drinking it like it's a soda. Let's try the lime, and see if we've got the same effect, and then we'll try a tomato. And I mean, a tomato is generally quite savoury, right?
That's even sweeter, that one. There's no sugar in that at all.
You are drinking.
Can you have some?
Yes, of course. I mean, have I brainwashed you or hypnotized you, or have your taste buds completely reversed? Oh, that is disgusting.
It's pantomime reaction.
Oh, well, look, you know that is a tomato. I haven't altered that at all. That should be kind of soury.
Yeah, I know.
It won't be sweet.
That's quite weird. That's like a sort of like tomato and sugar.
So it's sweet. It's
not nice.
So the sourness of the tomato.
So why is that happen?
So look, just to prove to the audience that I'm not hypnotizing you, and you've
is that why I ate that berry?
No, we're gonna switch. This is absolutely super sour.
What is it?
If you can eat this with it's a red currant. It's sort of painfully sour.
No, it's quite nice.
It really has. It's completely rewired your brain. Now we need to get some sugar. We need to get some sugar and find out if you find that unattractive. Let's see. Is it going to affect your umami flavor as well?
Yeah,
are you able to sort of identify?
Really weirdly, it just tastes like a sort of sweeter beer now, which I actually don't like as much. So
right.
It's slightly worse.
So it's taken the sourness and the bitterness of the beer and it's sweetened
Yeah, it's sort of like
Yeah,
like you get sort of like honey, almost like a honey beer.
Yeah.
Which I hate.
You know.
Yeah, it's made quite Belgian actually, that.
We've got a very confused slug at the moment.
Yeah, I don't understand. But what's the slug equivalent of what I've just done? I don't.
You've literally messed with your electrical signals.
Why are those weird berries that you pulled out of a suspicious bag? Why is that?
They're called miracle berries, and they come from Africa, and I think they're famous for switching your taste buds around. And of course, scientists thought, well, look, if we can remove the sweetness from your diet, these could be the answer to dieting. But so we're going to see what happens if you now try something that's clearly sweet.
These are, now I've got to say, I know exactly what this is. These are toffees that you can get in a melt shop, and they're my absolute favourite, and I normally steal one on my way home. So what, is this going to be even sweeter?
Yeah.
Well, no difference.
No, it's still, you're still getting the sweetness.
That's delicious.
Okay. That's interesting. So it hasn't actually... it's switched your sourness to sweet, but it has. I would have thought that's quite bland. It doesn't really do very much.
Honestly, it's hard to know, because with those, they're like toffee. So it's possible, actually, maybe that there's a slightly less sweetness, but actually all that does is bring out that like really delicious like toffee taste.
Yeah. Yeah. So the toffee could be the.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still very, very yummy, to be honest.
Yeah. So what we should have done is got a Snickers and find out if that was just bland and boring.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's the case. I can't believe about this. Oh, I finished it all.
Yeah, I mean, you're normally your mouth is going to pucker. You're going to go, that's too sour.
That's like
I
having
can't.
Sugar syrup.
Yeah,
that is unbelievable.
I can't drink that. I mean, I've tried. And try. No, I can't. It's way too sour. I mean, that is straight lime juice. So we've established that I can mess with your sensory, this 500 million year old slug. And now I think we should explore this Panda paradox, and also why you like rotted food so much. And
sure.
I want to sort of unpick it and see if we can kind of answer the question. And I think the first mistake happened when civilization occurred, because it went down a grass route. So in the same way that panda suddenly went down bamboo.
Fine.
You, not personally but metaphorically, went down...
My type.
Your type. You're grass-eating, bovine brain, confused panda. Okay? And what is going on in your love affair with grass, be wheat, barley, rice, corn, it's all the same.
Well, wheat and other grasses are easy to grow.
Correct.
They're easy to harvest, and they're cheap, and you can get lots and lots of quite filling food out of them.
Yes.
Like I could have, if I had a slice of toast in the morning, I'm going to be a lot more full and sort of content. But if all I had was a pear.
Yeah, you're right. It's very easy to grow grass, isn't it? It just doesn't require, I mean, any old land, bam, it grows very, very well. And that kind of implies that there's an element of kind of laziness going on in your original civilization. And I'm going to ask you another question. Okay. Let's say a pound of beef is the same nutritional value as a pound of lion.
Okay, let's say that. I mean,
and you're at this early stages of civilization. Would you keep lions or beef?
Cows.
Yeah, why?
Cows, not beefs.
Cows, sorry. Beef steaks. What would you choose?
Yeah,
as a
the cow. I mean, obviously, because a cow's not going to bite my head off.
Yeah, exactly. You're lazy and fearful.
Well, I mean, I've seen bulls can be pretty frightening, but less so than lions. 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, the beauty of the domestication of the beef is exactly that. It's easy, and it didn't require the risk.
Sure.
I mean, and also it was much easier to kind of domesticate because it wasn't like an impala.
That's good.
Can you imagine trying to herd an impala?
Yeah,
or trying to...
An absolute nightmare.
It would jump.
I've eaten impala.
It tastes great, but it's impossible. Or, like, why wasn't the zebra domesticated? Because it doesn't have a herding instinct. So you need something that's quite passive, that has a herding instinct, and isn't going to bite your head off. And that is basically the rule of domestication.
Sure.
And that's the same with your grass.
Grass is not going to bite your head off. That is.
Yeah, but it's a lot of labor to grow that yeast.
True.
And obviously civilization kind of occurred from that. So that is the foundation of where the Panda
Made
paradox.
my beer really horrible. Yeah, I was genuinely really enjoying it. And it's now like a horrible, really sickly beer. I don't want it anymore.
So we've got civilization. You're now going a kind of lazy grass food based diet.
Sure.
And then we have industrialization is our next step.
Fine.
And industrialization increases the quantity and the sugariness of your food group. So we're now, instead of, when you're sort of Persian, tilling the soil, getting a small amount of tiny little grains.
Is that Persian?
In the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Now you're getting industrial quantities of bread and, as we discovered, sugar from the cane sugar, and that sugar was built on the back of slavery.
Sure.
So the industrialization was really quite a brutal period, and it was based on slavery, and that your sugar shouldn't really be white, it should be red. And we discovered that. So then the Panda has gone down two mistaken avenues. The grass,
Yeah.
and then the quantity. And we're going to layer in a third. And the third is capitalism. And where capitalism starts manipulating that monkey brain or the panda brain and starts adding sort of palm oil and vast quantities, and then death by a thousand cuts. And I guess my point here, it's not our individual problems, it's a societal problem. We've created a kind of wall of sugar for us that is very difficult to avoid. And I can see you munching on the bread.
Well, I mean, we spoke about this on our sugar episode, but I think what is interesting, in terms of the path is this sort of obsession with fermentation as well. Like, it's not just a case that we are eating sort of just sugar and grasses, that actually, clearly, another thing that we really obsess over is that fermentation of this stuff.
And we've got, we're trying to understand why that is. Why do you get more aromas through fermentation? And why do you, what is going on in the fermentation?
I guess from the sort of research I've done, I think cheese is a really good example. We had that cheese earlier, the Roquefort, which is incredibly, in terms of how it tastes incredibly, compared to, a mild cheddar, let's say, it's incredibly strong. Yeah. And there's, compared to milk, it's incredibly strong. There's so much kind of flavour. You can smell it from another room away. It's got incredibly rich, complex, but as opposed to, glass of milk, very, very simple, not that. And I think it is that we really, really crave extreme taste and sort of complex taste.
Correct. And that's absolutely true with chocolate. The more complex we go, the better. And also with the cheese, it makes it creamier, doesn't it? And softer. And this is kind of we get back to that the drunk monkey paradox, is that obviously at the very beginning of time, maybe the thing that set us on our path to Homo sapiens was that fermented fruit, was the alcohol, was the complexity. And, I've been reading that, the monkey in that, 20 grams of alcohol a day, basically 1 pint of lager per monkey.
What?
Yes.
Well, that's what they were having?
That's what they have today, even today.
Monkeys can't have alcohol.
Yes, they're if you remember, we had the scrumping, they would find fermented fruit on the forest floor. And they really loved it. And actually, they consume so much, it's a pint of lager a day. So these monkeys were literally drunk. And that's literally what transported us on our...
monkey hangovers as well.
Yeah, they had monkey hangovers. And that's what turned them into these bipedal walking... the rest is detail, the fire. No, that's detail. The drunk monkey is the essence of Homo sapiens, which is why we hang out in pubs drinking beer. It's innate. We've been doing it since the dawn of time.
Since we were, not quite when we were sea slugs, but pretty much. Well,
So that is that fermentation that obviously there was some incredibly sort of symmetry between the yeast and the flavours that it produced for mankind. And You know, I think about it. If you think about the two most important chefs in the world, one is yeast.
Yeah.
The second is burning. You know, it is basically the sort of
carbonization stuff.
The carbonization. And those two, the Maillard and the yeast, are basically what create our entire food range, really.
I think what I'm really, really keen to understand, going back to our sort of failed box and us trying to ferment it, is what can we do to sort of achieve, in the same way you have, I don't know, the fantastic wines. I want to find out, when we're on this quest, right, for the best possible chocolate in the world, what can be done to achieve that perfect fermentation?
Yeah.
Where in the world are the best bacteria, the best fungus? Yeah. How do we stop the bad ones getting in? Why is chocolate from this? And yeah, I think the key does seem to be in this word fermentation.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm excited that I got to have so much beer.
That's right. So it's like the cheese that you've just consumed, you know, with that lovely sort of blue, you know, that's what you're trying to get in chocolate. And that's, you know, of course, most consumers don't realize that's where all the flavor comes from. And you're right, trying to find the best. And it seems that every society does ferment food. It's a kind of universal human characteristic.
Drinks
so Japanese is kimchi,
and rice wine as well,
and miso, and you know the
Japanese, I think, are probably the top fermenters, if I had to say.
Yeah, and France with wine, and Latin America with cacao fermentation. You know, it's an essential element of humankind
for sure.
And of course, we think it has great, and this is true of chocolate as well, very good effects on the microbes. So I think we've got a path for ourselves in terms of what we're going to explore. But I want to also talk a little bit about the metabolism. And essentially, we think we've got a sort of homeostatic body shape. Your body, be it slug, chimp, or panda, knows...
Human? Why not have a human body for...
Yes, you can. Okay, human.
Okay, fine.
You're human now.
Yay!
It has a body shape that it kind of subconsciously knows, okay? And if you eat the food that it's intended to eat, it will generally, in the same way that a temperature gauge in your house, it'll keep that house at the right temperature.
Fine.
That's the same with the body, okay?
Okay.
So you can, if you do more exercise or something, it will slow your metabolism down and vice versa. So you're trying to keep a body shape. What is the one thing we know that blows that subconscious body shape out of kilter?
Zempic.
that is definitely one.
I guess lots of...
maybe magic berries are two.
And weird miracle berries that make lemon juice taste like sugar.
Yeah.
I get lots of things to do. I mean, booze is a big one, I think.
Booze is essentially anything that's UPF, any high sugar, ultra processed food has, I think, scientifically proven to change that natural balancing act and just blow the body out. And of course, that's one of the things that we're going to explore is, the obesity epidemic is driven by UPF. And that's one of the things that we're hoping with your new superpowers on food is to identify and then crush.
Can I say to our people who are listening, by the way, I'm not obese. Just fine if I was, no judgment. Like the way Andrew describes me, I don't want people thinking.
This is a metaphorical discussion.
I'm worried that honestly, people who listen and don't watch this podcast are going to think that I'm some sort of...
they're going to start with thinking you're a slug that eats cheese and bread and drinks beer.
I do.
So you're obsessed with a yeast poo.
But yeast poo is good. I think that's right.
Is it?
Well, I mean, chocolate, cacao.
Chocolate's good.
That's got yeast poo in, isn't it?
That's true.
Yeah.
But I guess we have to answer the question: why are we so obsessed with it? What is it about it?
I think, having read about fermentation and having sat here and eaten very, very nice bread, very nice cheese, drank some very nice beer that then got slightly ruined by magic berries on a bit of a tangent we went on. But I think what it is...
Miracle berries.
It's
I think they're miracle berries.
It's about enhancement and complexity. I think that, interestingly, less so the bread, but that cheese, there's beer, dark chocolate be another one. I think are flavours that you sort of associate with not liking when you're young, I think, because they are almost too complex.
I'm really interested why we think we like complexity. It's an interesting...
Yeah.
What is it about... I mean, of course, in chocolate we know, because we're looking for that journey of nutty, fruity...
But why is
we like that complexity.
Why not just one note? And also, I think we do. It's not the case that actually every single person... In fact, it seems you're born... I was with my nephew this morning, and he would hate that. He's 2. He'd hate that cheese. He'd hate the taste of beer. He'd hate, would not see having it anyway, but he'd hate the taste of dark chocolate.
Maybe he'd like dark chocolate, and that's one of the things.
But I don't think he would. I think
we need to get him in.
A bit like with me, I think you learn to appreciate those notes. In the same way with film, with music, when you're little, you like very simple songs that are simple to understand. As you get older, the more music you listen to, the more complicated, experimental, interesting things. I think that's the case with food.
So we're kind of you're creating a scenario whereby, in a way, you're making the argument: the more complex fermentation, the more complex flavour, and the more enjoyable it will be.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think essentially, once we really begin loving stuff as humans, I think we seek it in more complex and more interesting forms, because I think we get bored very quickly.
Yeah, and chocolate is one of the most complex fermentations on Earth.
Yeah.
Because of those 3 phases and the sheer number. It's not just the sort of honey fungus that goes in beer or wine. And therefore, I think that's one of the reasons why we love it so much, because of its complexity. But, it's a genuine question as to why we love complexity.
Yeah.
Is it because we're also sensation seekers? We're looking
I think so.
for real sensation, and we can get that in really beautiful chocolate.
That's right. I think that's right. But I also think not everyone does. I think that's something you have to cultivate. I think that's why I'm very happy to go on this journey, because I don't really have that for chocolate. We've spoken about it before. I don't want my chocolate really complicated and really rich.
Yeah.
I want it to be simple and easy and sweet, which is not the case for beer and cheese and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think I like beer and cheese more now than I like those complex flavours, and I sort of want to achieve that with chocolate as well.
Yeah. So there is a journey, and we're discovering that the complexity in chocolate comes A, from the fruit, which you've now tasted, in its own right, then B, from the most complex fermentation on Earth, and we know that it can go wrong because that's what happened.
Wrong.
And then the third factor, which we haven't got to because our fermentation went wrong, is the roasting, the Maillard. So you can see how you build layer after layer of flavour, and that comes through in beautiful chocolate. And I guess that's the journey we're on.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to discover. And as we go on that journey, we're going to try and slay that lazy sugar dragon that glazes everything with simple grasses and sugars, because that's kind of where it goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm convinced. Having had that berry, I think you don't want everything to be sweet, I realise.
Yeah.
Actually, you do lose those complexities. And so, what an interesting episode. Well, I think that's the end of our fermentation special. It's not the end of our talking about fermentation. It's going to, I think, come up as a topic a lot throughout this series. But it's been a real journey, even if we didn't quite manage to succeed in our aim of fermenting some cacao.
But we did succeed in switching your taste buds.
That is true. Hopefully that goes back.
And
to
that
normal
wasn't
after a while.
hypnosis.
That doesn't. That's not me done now, is it?
No, I think it could be permanent.
Well, you'll have to find out next week. Anyway, as always, thanks very much for joining us. I've been Ed. Well, I am always Ed.
And thank you, Andrew.